Native Americans by Lily Colon, Aidan Murtha, and Hannah Trusinovich. The Clash of Cultures of the Plains. In the 1860s, Native Americans were scattered throughout the grasslands of the Trans-Missouri West. White pioneers hoped to expand and saw the natives as an obstacle. There was already some existing conflict among the separate native groups, as some groups were more developed than others. Conflict between whites and Native Americans. Whites spread diseases to the natives. These diseases included cholera, typhoid, and smallpox. There was also a decrease in the bison population due to white expansion, as the whites' livestock overgrazed the grasslands that were home to the bison, decreasing their food availability. Early attempts to resolve this conflict. Government attempts to pass treaties to pacify or delay the conflict. The reservation system, where boundaries set for the territory of each tribe in an attempt to separate the Indians into colonies north and south of white settlement. The government began forcing natives onto these reservations eventually. The pioneers misunderstood that native culture, as people did not actually have tribes or chiefs. They primarily only recognized authority in their families or in an elder. The system of tribes and reservations was new to them.
In the 1860s, the government began forcing natives into small confines. Federal agents were supposed to uphold Washington's promise and provide natives with food, clothes, and supplies. However, they were corrupt and gave them spoiled food and old moth-eaten clothes and blankets. As a result, the federal agents saved more money and cheated their way to wealth. The series of events was primarily a result of the cruel and forceful attempts to get natives to move to reservations. The Indian wars in the West were very savage, and oftentimes whites would shoot peaceful Indians. An example of this was in Sand Creek, Colorado, when Colonel J.M. Shivington and his militia massacred 400 innocent peaceful natives. Eventually, conflict between the whites and natives resulted in battles and an overall decline in the native population. The first battle was the Battle of Little Bighorn, and this was one of the natives' few triumphs. It resulted from Fetterman's massacre. In 1866, a Sioux war party attempted to block construction of the Bozeman Trail. They ambushed Captain William Fetterman's soldiers and did not leave a single survivor. In 1874, Colonel George Custer and gold seekers swarmed the Sioux land and attempted to return the Indians to a reservation. The Sioux, with the help of the Cheyenne and Arapaho Indians, fought back and won. This victory was short-lived because the white pioneers were now angry and ready to fight. This is a native depiction of the battle. Next was the trek of Nez Perce. Again, U.S. authorities were attempting to herd natives onto a reservation. Chief Joseph, along with 700 Indians, fled and endured a horrible 3-month trek across the Continental Divide. He surrendered, and the Native Americans were sent to an old reservation in Kansas, where nearly half of them died from disease.
The Apache was a fierce tribe led by Geronimo, who was very passionate about preserving his culture and had a strong hatred of the white settlers. White troops chased the Apache into Mexico by tricking them with the heliograph, which they were in awe of because they pictured it as a big medicine. Instead of fighting to the end, the Apache surrendered in Florida and were able to farm successfully in Oklahoma. In an attempt to tame the natives were ghettoized on reservations in order to reduce their contact with the white settlers. The natives were forced onto the reservations because they could not fight back against the U.S. military, which had more advanced military technology and the railroad. The spread of diseases caused the natives to lose a lot of power, and they lost even more power as the buffalo, which were their main food source, were exterminated. While some people hoped for equality between the whites and the natives, most white people believed they were superior to the natives and had rights to the land. Because of this, they ignored native culture. White soldiers continued to oppress the natives when they destroyed the Ghost Dance cult in the Battle of Wounded Knee. The Dawes Severalty Act dissolved tribes in the legal sense and gave them no rights for land ownership. Instead, land was sold to individual native families, and the leftover land was used to benefit white settlers. Full citizenship was not granted to natives until 1924.